Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 4 versus 4 on Tali Ihantala, and I'm going to be playing with the first Skijager with the V for Victory deployment type. As you can see, the game is already underway, and Burdened here is going to be using his ME410 to recon the enemy forces, but let's have a quick look at what we've got going down. So I've got initially some Pack 36s that are going to be trying to defend the roads against enemy transports. I've got some Skijager which are going to be sitting in the town and dealing with the closer range town engagements. I've got some Skijager which are going to be supporting those engagements from a distance with their MG42s. And then I've got some Skijager Pioneer that are going to be moving into the trees here. Furthermore, I've got a couple of Skijager Pioneer Führer which are going to be providing me with extra veterancy, which are connected to a commander that I've brought in from the start so I can focus on the veterancy here, get them up to 3 vet. Make them incredibly strong at close range. MP44s are a gun that really benefits from high veterancy. I mean, every unit benefits from veterancy, but I really feel like MP44s are a unit that, or is a gun that benefits the most and can really make them do some seriously good damage at close ranges because of that accuracy boost. Armada here. Going to be trying to get a couple shots onto the Humber Mark III, and we see a nice explosion back there. What's that from? Oh, it's the glorious Sturmpanzer KV2 that I brought in from the start. That is also accompanied by a couple of these SDKF Z104s. These are 20mm half tracks, which are AA. So here we go. Skijager going to be engaging the rifles, absolutely ripping them to shreds in these buildings. I'd also already killed another rifle squad. The one that took the KV shot got evaporated in the open by the Skijager, but I'm going to have to fall back because my opponent's also brought in Wasps. And Wasps are little flamethrower carriers that are able to do decent damage, but they kind of lack range, unfortunately. Anyway, BF-109, G6R4 coming in. Plenty of firepower on this bad boy. Is going to take down the Mosquito 6 there, which was trying to napalm my Skijager. But Assault Pioneers trying to come forwards. I'm going to micro back with the Skijager, and they get absolutely destroyed. And so far, so good. Really showing off the strengths of the Skijager, which was the idea for me bringing you this replay today. Speaking of strengths of the Skijager, I can bring in 2 biplanes early on, which can use off-map. And this isn't any old off-map, this is 172mm off-map. Pretty big off-map, and it gets 3 strikes per aircraft. Very nice for me to use early on. Usually, off-map airplanes are very vulnerable to AA, but if you use them at the start of the game, when usually opponents don't have enough AA to shoot them down, they can get quite a lot of value. So I've managed to get 2 strikes down here so far, and I'm going to be trying to utilize those to then springboard a push deeper into the town. I'll never ever use off-map defensively unless you have to. It's always best to use off-map offensively. If you can put it down, make sure to follow it up. It's really good. You don't want to place it when you can't follow it up. Otherwise, generally it's useless, because unless you're trading points-wise in value, which you never know if you are or not, unless you can see where it hits, of course, it's generally not worth it, because the benefit of off-map, for the most part, is that it pins units down. And then if you can follow up on it quickly with the unit, then you can get surrenders, and that's where the value really lies, in off-map. Mosquito is going to get shot down there. My 20mm half-tracks really surprising me. You also saw my Ju-87 come in with a cluster strike, unfortunately killed by that Mosquito. It was targeting the M4DDs that were coming across the lake here. Now this one got into line of sight of the KV2, noped out, went back onto the river. So that M4 was looking for a little bit of a flank there. But meanwhile, my Skijager going to be trying to take advantage of the off-map that just came down. Meanwhile, Marder moving through the town here, takes out the command carrier that was creating a little bit of a salient. Rifles here, still pinned down slightly from that off-map, do get surrendered. And that's what I was saying before. That's the benefit mainly of this off-map, especially when it's high caliber off-map. because high caliber off map, yes, it's going to kill stuff if it hits directly, but the chances of it hitting directly are not always that high. So making sure that you can follow up is super important. Rifle leader going down there, nice little catch for me, going to take the veterancy away from any future units that Xbergs brings in. And so far so good. The disgusting double off map start from the Skijager going very, very well for me, and attack power really going to hate me if he sees this. Skijager now being pinned by the Humber Mark III and the Universal Carrier. I'm waiting for my Pak 36 to get up here and in line of sight of those to take them out. I've also brought up new Pak 36s. And Pak 36s are really, really nice AT guns. Not only because they deal with light vehicles very well, but they also have the heat rocket. The 180 mils of penetration there that has 750 meters range. Now the accuracy isn't great, but usually Pak 36s come in with relatively decent base veterancy. So the accuracy goes up. Now, biplane coming in with the next off-map strike, trying to clear the area ahead of me so that I can continue to push my Skijager forwards. Another Marder going to be joining me as well, and the KV-2 getting into position on my right side. We're off to a very good start. We've got a fantastic position, and it's going to be very difficult for Xberg with his 3rd Canadian to push me out here, because he's very reliant on rifles, and currently Commonwealth rifles are kind of trash. The only unit in the game, like the division in the game, that gets decent rifles is probably the Indians, the 8th Indian Infantry, because they have Thompson submachine guns. So at closer ranges they can actually be relatively effective. But other than that, yeah, my Sturmskijager definitely in a great position here. And we're able to take out a Wasp even with the Haftaladen, so that's nice. And here comes the off-map. One Universal Carrier retreating into light cover. The other one slammed by the off-map there. Second Wasp also taken out here. Trying to use those to get me out of these buildings, but I wouldn't recommend using Wasps very much, just because their range is extremely limited. And if you jump around in buildings, you can often catch them out, which is exactly what I'm doing here. I'm going to spot the Sherman 5 here, and I do have my Marder, so I'm going to be moving that into the back garden of this now destroyed house, and that will allow me to sneak up on this Sherman 5 if he doesn't have recon. Meanwhile, going to be trying to use the Sturmskijager here to finish off the Assault Pioneer. And on the left side, M10 goes down to the rocket of the Pak 36. Now in order to use this rocket, what you want to do is make sure you turn off the AP shell, and then it will use the heat. On the right, Marder 3 takes out the Sherman 5. We're really getting our groove on now. This is where I feel that Skijager can be super strong. If you get a little bit of ahead of your opponent, you can really try and snowball your lead, because your infantry is just such high quality, and will continue to just mince the small amounts of forces that are coming your way. Mosquito there coming in for the strafing run does do a decent amount of damage, but is going to be forced off by the 20 mils. Maybe not the best use of points for my opponent, but that's okay. Just needs to get some more infantry in, get some more Shermans in, make sure he's got recon so he can see the Marders, and then kind of work around that. But mortar fire now coming in as well. That's actually doing a decent chunk of damage on the left side. Is going to take out the Pak 36. Has chunked the Skijager. Ski Pioneer Führer also in trouble as well. Making sure I keep that close so I have the high veterancy is very important. Not only so that my infantry is more effective, but also so they have more damage resistance. Now on the move here, not very damage resistant against a Crusader AA, and lucky to remain alive there as I focus more on the right hand side and dealing with this rifle squad. Furthermore, a couple more Sherman 5s have been brought in, and whilst they can navigate their way across the open water here, I have found a way to hide myself in the garden and fire at them without being seen. So unfortunately, lack of recon here again, kind of stinging Xberg. And more Skijager Pioneers are going to be joining me to secure the forest. The Skijager Pioneer is a very nice unit. They have 7 MP40s, which means they do a decent amount of damage at close range on their own. And then they also have the HE grenades, so fantastic close range infantry there. Accompanied by like Sturmskijager, you can really do some serious damage. Now, nice driver kill stops that Sherman 5 from falling back. And with the help of the Pak 40, we take that out nice and easy. More mortar rounds coming in. Looking for my AT guns here and my infantry. We just made a ton of ground. A Crusader AA. I see, and I have to run away from very, very quickly. Immediately click the fallback as they get hit. This Crusader AA can clean up infantry so quickly if you're not careful. And honestly, like, whilst it was a good idea for him to fall that back, with recon or like an infantry squad moving ahead of it, you could have probably used it to try and delete some of my better infantry. Because whilst the Sturmskijagers are pretty good, they're not cheaper than his units. They're like 5 points more expensive, so if he gets rid of them, then he will have a better chance with his rifles. Now, this Mosquito making a terrible error as it flies right over all of my AA that's now being reinforced. I have 4 of these SDKZ 10-4s. The first one does get out, mainly because it evac'd early. Artillery coming down once again. Sturmskijager being forced back. The Sturmskijager on the left side got killed off. And you can see that I've stopped using my off-map aircraft. Now, off-map aircraft, particularly biplanes, are incredibly vulnerable the longer the game goes, especially since I showed my hand right at the start. My opponent's going to buy AA, and obviously I don't want to lose these unnecessarily. The best thing to do is wait until you see that you've killed enemy AA, and then what you can do is bring them in after that. Now, the rifles are going to be able to get the better of my Sturmskijager potentially. Oh wow, that one man just kills them off. Very nice. Pioneer Führer moving back into cover, but the Pak 36 has found range onto the Crusader AA, so I do actually end up punishing him for using that against my infantry. And well, killing a couple Sturmskijager doesn't really matter when I've got 6 more squads of them coming in. My absolute train of half tracks here coming in to reinforce my front line as I'm getting a little bit thin. You will have stormtroopers available, and I think he'd already brought some in further up. He's also got those assault pioneers that we've got to be careful of at the 100-meter range. Because flamers fire before pioneers throw their grenades, I do actually have to be quite cautious around the different flamer units here, particularly like the stormtroopers as well. These stormtroopers, they're pretty good because they've got 6 submachine guns and then the HE, so we can probably trade them into Skijager Pioneers, and I can also transport snipe the crap out of them. We managed to kill a bunch of these kangaroos, and since these stormtroopers don't have AT, I'm quite happy to just charge them down with the half tracks. So getting nice and close there, getting the surrender. The Sturmskijager dropped off by these 2 half tracks, going to be pushing in onto the rifles and assault pioneers. I've also got the T-34-85s joining me now. These are 1943 variants with the 1,750 meter range, but still a nice medium tank. Again, Sturmskijager there, trying to push hard onto the stormtroopers, but I end up getting myself transport sniped. Bit of a greedy move, really. Now, field engineers going to be throwing their HE onto my Sturmskijager. And while Sturmskijager are good, they're not very good at the 100-meter range, particularly against specialized 100-meter range units. So bringing in my off-map on the left-hand side, I was bringing it in over here, mainly because I saw I killed the Crusader AA on the left. The Hurricane Mark IV's now coming in from some of his teammates. Kovac. So Exberg is getting a little bit of help now. And taking out that T-34 is rather annoying for me. But we got off map in a nice place. The Hurricane Mark IV actually dies to the AA anyway, as I now have not only 4 of the SDKFZ 10-4s, but also I've now brought up an SDKFZ 7.2, sorry. T-34 going to be engaging the 6-pounder here on the left side. Probably shouldn't be doing that, just because it's kind of unnecessary. And it does get my T-34 bailed out. Especially since the off-map's coming down here. That was completely pointless task. The Marder does manage to kill a Sherman on the main road here at least. So that wasn't completely wasted. And on the right side, I'm able to get my Marder to engage the Crusader AA. Now that Crusader AA, if it gets enough time on target, will kill the Marder. So I was a little bit worried about the second shot missing as it started to get pinned down, but thankfully hits the mark. And both of those Crusader AAs are now fully dealt with. So now I've kind of got to solidify my position here. We've taken the far flag through the town, absolutely obliterated it with off-map as we went. I've just got to hold against the counter push and make sure that we secure these flags. So a couple of Stugs on the way. If I can get them into the light cover here, we should be able to engage a lot of the enemy armor relatively well up this road. So that was my plan. Across the map, in the center here, we are losing a little bit of ground, and on the right hand side, Martin's doing a good job of fighting Inky. So the game's not completely one-sided, but Exberg is not going to be wanting to bring mosquitoes into this AA net. It's absolutely brutal. One mosquito goes down, second one going to be fired at and ripped out the sky, no problem. There's even the Nimrods coming in from STEM further back. So 3 Nimrods, 4 20mm AA, and an SDKZ 7.1. Hack 36 once again showing why they are absolutely awesome AT guns as it engages the Stag Hound. The Sherman has revealed itself to the Stug 3. Stug 3 with the extra veterancy, very, very strong tank. Will be able to kill the Sherman 5 with its super high rate of fire. With the Crusader AA going down on the right side, I'm able to get my off-map plane in here very well, very deep, and we'll be dropping that soon enough. So I decided to go for these Fireflies. My plan was basically to pin these down so that the Stugs can then push forwards through the light cover and engage them without having to be worried about being killed themselves. That count easily finished off. Pack 36 trying to clean up this wasp for me so that I can actually come to the edge of this tree line. Because at the edge of this tree line I can then, spot what is here. Because at the moment I'm kind of being choked out of the edge of the tree line. So another Stug on the way, more Skijager to back me up. Pack 36 finally finishing that off. And now we got the Pack 36 over here engaging the Firefly. But with the off-map coming down, I'm going to be committing the Stug to the engagement. Unfortunately, too close, really, for the pin on these Fireflies to make a big difference. There would have been the chance, really, to move up with my armor. But not doing so just yet. Got the T-34s, though, coming out from the left-hand side. Hoping I can finish them off. The line of sight is actually kind of restricted here, though, because of these wrecks of buildings. Going to be microing these T-34s through to try and finish that off. Now finally moving these Stugs up. Should have definitely done that a lot sooner. But just hoping to finish off the Fireflies. Like, as long as they fall back, the T-34s have a good chance of killing them off. I'm going to have one T-34 target each. We are going to hit both with our first shots, which is good. Going to lose line of sight on one though, but we're going to take out the second. And with those Fireflies destroyed, we're actually in a really strong position here, but the artillery is still slapping me hard from cover back here. New Firefly has arrived. We'll be able to take out my damaged T-34. Just hoping to finish that off if I can. Stug managing to get the kill. Beautiful hit there. So now these Skijager in their half tracks charging towards the source of the mortar fire. And I've got my off-map planes coming in again. Now only one of them has an off-map strike, but I'm bringing in both to disguise the one that does have it. So I've brought in the one that doesn't in front, kind of as a recon, but also in case enemy fighters come in, that will be shot first. Then it gives me a chance to get this one in and into a good position. So I'm going to be planting that right on top of the AA, as well as the Shermans here in the cover. Meanwhile, moving forwards the SDKZ 10-4s. It doesn't really matter at this point if they get shot down, because they've used up all of their strikes. The Skijager here finding the 107mm mortars that were causing me issues. We are going to be taking those out. ST-34, a little bit of ahead of itself. Sherman 2, with the 2 vet, should be able to get the job done. That puts us really a bad spot. T-34 does manage to take out one of the damaged Fireflies, so that was great. Stug's trying to engage the Sherman 2s, does manage to bail out one of them. We're going to bounce a shot from the Firefly, but unfortunately Sherman 2 finds the kill. I'm going to finish off the bailed out one, but we got more bombers coming in. Well, I say more bombers. We've got the bombers coming in. In Skijager, you do get 2 1,000 kilogram bombers. We're going to be finding our targets as the off-map comes down, and I'm hoping to get some juicy kills here onto the reinforcing tanks. Here we go, bombs away. This is all the reinforcements of Vicksburg coming in right as the bombs drop. Absolutely gorgeous bombing strike. Takes out the Firefly, kills 2 of the Kangaroos before they unload. Unloads one of them. They end up getting wrecked by the Skijager, and the Sherman getting away with little health. Absolutely massacring the Canadians. It's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Just see all of the fire and flames as we've pushed through here. Not really much reason for me to keep going, honestly. Like, our team's actually like 15 to 13 as Novak has broken through here. So we're not even winning like that hard overall. But if I can continue to do a lot of damage to the reinforcing units coming in here, then eventually that will pay off elsewhere on the map. And so far it really has, because we have got ahead in tickets quite a bit. Like, overall flag wise, yeah, we're not that far ahead, but in terms of tickets, we were on like 16 or 17 flags for a while. Now the Pak-36 there again showing its power. I turned off the AP so that it fired its rocket into the Sherman 2A, and we are going to be taking that out. And my plan here was really just to cut off this land spawn now, so that I could then focus to the right. And then I don't have to worry about all the reinforcements continuing to push me here. I can actually focus on the flag on the island and maybe help Burden to push forwards here as well. So I'm able to take out the Sherman 5. That's good. And more Stugs are on the way to help us solidify this. And I've got some Skijager that are going to be lining up to try and get across this bridge. Skijager finding some stormtroopers at a distance. Unfortunately, he's not in range, and the MP44 absolutely king in those situations. Like Skijager, like any unit with MP44s in light cover or in towns, is absolutely brutal. So if you have them, definitely make sure to make use of them in those positions. Use your specialized close range infantry like my Skijager Pioneer for close range engagements, and then I've got my Skijager for dealing with the open range engagements. And that's just the beauty of Skijager in general. I feel like they do have all the tools for dealing with infantry engagements. The biggest weakness really for Skijager is heavy tanks, particularly like IS-2s. Can really cause you a lot of issues because you don't have really reliable ways of taking them out. Like your AT's not terribly strong, your tanks aren't terribly strong, so heavier tanks can certainly get the better of you. Now in this case I have managed to be able to use my off map quite significantly. That's not always the case, so do bear that in mind. And the bombers, of course, being able to come in because I killed most of the AA with the off-map in the first place was also pretty great. So, yeah, the two things to consider. Anyway, Stug 3's going to be coming round here to engage the Sherman 3. If I 2v1, I'm almost guaranteed to kill it. Marder 3 was trying to get a position to cover the Sturm Skijager as I crossed the bridge here, but it did get taken out. Kangaroo's dead. Sherman 3 is getting hit. We have cut off the land spawn. You can see that the arrow's gone blue here. We've managed to push the whole way through. Just got to clean up the remainder of the units and then we can focus more to the right. Like all of these units can pretty much go over here. I can just leave like one or two to make sure that we hold the front line. And then yeah, we can focus over here. I can actually walk across this area. You can see that it is shallow, so I can walk all my infantry across here and start harassing the reinforcing road over there as well. Skijager Pioneer do get taken out. The Polston actually pretty good at dealing with infantry. And with the help of the Polston closer up, yeah, that kind of did the job. Now 1 minute 40 left on the clock though. And my job is more or less done. I'm just starting to get my Sturm Skijager to go across the bridges of death. This is a really awful way to waste Sturm Skijager. Like, it only takes this one Firefly here to really do a decent amount of damage. Going to be taking out the Sherman 3 over here though, and the Stug's getting around the corner to engage the Polston is really all we need. Sturm Skijager getting at close range there will certainly take them out as well. Morty, pretty deadly with their double MG34, especially to units out in the open, so that's what ended up happening to the bridge push as they retreat back to the other side. Brought up a couple of Marder 3s to kind of cover my advance with a Stug there. But I've just got to deal with this Wasp, and then I think that's the last couple units here, like the Assault Pioneers and the Wasps. I think he was bringing his Assault Pioneers in the Wasps. That's probably why we were seeing Wasps in this game. I don't think they're even worth doing that, to be honest. So the Polston's taken care of at the back. Assault Pioneers taken out as well. 5 seconds left on the clock. Just managed to clean up the rest of the stuff here. Panzer about to engage the Shermans across the river, but that's going to be time. 28 minutes, 50 seconds. An absolutely brutal town push, double off-map opener with the first Skijager. Yeah, maybe I should have put a parental warning on the start of this one because it was pretty brutal, let's be honest. 4,085 kills to 1,350 losses. The main reason I wanted to show this off though wasn't just to like show off a nice victory. It was really just to show off the strengths of the Skijager, and in a town like that they can be incredibly strong. Unfortunately, Exberg's Canadian forces not really equipped to deal with the kind of push that I had unless he has his own off map, which the Canadians used to be well known for, but it did get nerfed, I think. The other thing that we didn't really see from Exberg was the use of Shermans at close range with rifle support. If you can make sure that you have infantry in front of your Shermans when they're engaging, you can avoid getting hit by like Panzerschrecks and the Pak 36s, for example, while still maintaining fire support from your Shermans. It is quite hard to manage though. But in the end, yeah, the Stug here, look at that, I got loads of kills. And the HE-111 bombing strike was absolutely brutal. Managed to kill a couple of 25-pounders with that as well. Yeah, towards the end there, when the off maps were landing perfectly, it was just absolutely a nightmare for him to deal with, because I was just snowballing my lead with every off map. Like the double off map from the start started the cycle whereby all I needed to do was just like push forwards, kill his AA, bring in more off map, keep pushing forwards, kill AA, bring in more off map, and when like the off map itself is actually killing the AA, then you know you got a problem. So yeah, unfortunate game for Exberg, but a fantastic game to show off the power of the Skijager, their infantry, and unfortunately not much of the KV2. The KV2 can be an absolute blast, but and a bit of a ghost unit in this game. I didn't get it into very good positions, and it's very difficult to use the KV2 at close range. Like, it's great for fire positioning down streets, but I didn't really need it for that purpose in this game, because we managed to clear the streets quite easily with the Sturm Skijagers. But that's where I'll leave it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.